Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Crunkest Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. I got my man in the building, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetra K, and I am the 5-star general. KWAME Brown told the truth, and he shamed the devil. Charlemagne the God, you have to take them comments back. But tonight we went and got us a real live former NBA player, CHUCKY Brown, and we gonna talk about this. Stephen A., what it feel like to tuck your tail, dog? Let's get to it. Say, man, I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the War Zone and tell you thank you for taking time out to tune in, because you're the greatest audience in the world, and we appreciate you taking the time out to come and hang out with us. And I'm going to start it off by saying I had a very busy weekend. A young man was shot about a week and a half ago in South Lawn, and I came into the community and say, we're going to take this thing over. We're going to bring some help to them people. Good people bless me, so I bless the people. And we had a good day. HPD, Harris County Constables, City Councilwoman Carolyn Shabazz, a host of good volunteers, and we went down there and we gave them people some hope. So I will tell you, I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but Scott Plaza, I'm coming, and I'm bringing some help to you, man. I ain't got time for the politics. It's really about helping people. So we had a grand weekend, and tomorrow, I've been here long enough. I'm on a plane in the morning, going back to Minnesota. I got some work to do in Minneapolis, but Friday I will be in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the 100th anniversary of the massacre on Black Wall Street. And I mean, the Panthers, everybody gonna be down there. It's gonna be they gonna exercise their constitutional rights. It's a full weekend program of what's going on. I will be in Tulsa this weekend. Donovan, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, welcome to the Monday edition of the War Zone. And I'm glad to have the legend, CHUCKY Brown, back, NBA champion, all that good stuff. He was there, he did it. What you would call, like my man KWAME Brown said, a rose that came through concrete. CHUCKY Brown is one of those people that you would say, against odds, he went and lived his dream. So in the news today, real quick, it's been kind of quiet, but it's just so funny. I just don't understand it. Make it make sense, Demetra. Somebody. Joe Biden said he is going to double the FEMA budget to over $1 billion for the upcoming, hurricane seasons and all this other stuff that might happen. Where is all this money coming from? And then when black folks just want a extra biscuit to go with our two-piece, there's no money for it. There's no money for black folks to do anything. There's no money for the school program. There's no money for anything for black folks. But he's pulling all this money. Right. He's pulling all this money out of the air. But you got some Negroes out there talk about, well, golly, he's only been in there 100 days. You got to give him some time. Demetra?
So hello, everybody. Welcome again to Monday night's edition of the War Zone. And we have Mr. Brown here, Mr. CHUCKY Brown, and we're going to get into a conversation about KWAME Brown. No relation, right?
No relation, no.
All right, so we're going to get into that conversation. And I'm going to tell you guys what I know. I'm not a sports fan, well, to some degree, but I'm not an expert. So from what I understand, KWAME Brown had a lot to say. Now, he's had a YouTube channel for a while, and he's been speaking on certain issues for a while. So for a lot of people, they're thinking this is like his first time speaking out about different things, but he spoke about the election and, just a whole host of things. And so recently, as of last week, I guess you could say he was kind of upset because a few people, and those people are Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, Charlemagne the God, and Stephen A. Smith, and a couple other people I guess, ran him low, continued to call him a bust. And so on All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, they were interviewing Jeannie Buss, and she was talking about having to do a trade or something. And his name came up as one of the people that were traded. And I think it was Steven Jackson said, well, it was one person basically discounting Kwame because, again, they likened him to a bust. And then Charlemagne went a step further and said, hey, those are my friends. Because, at that point, Kwame released a video, said, those are my friends. And he says that Kwame will choose violence because his father and his brothers did some things that, landed them in jail and all of that. And so he basically was saying, well, because his people were violent, he'll choose violence too. And oh my God, Kwame Brown tore Charlemagne a new one. Oh my, he was bumper. So this morning, Charlemagne the God did his donkey of the day, and he issued himself the donkey of the day for disclosing Kwame's, family business the way he did. And he said he was sorry and all of that. But he's also, he being Kwame, is mad, I guess, at Stephen A. Jackson because he basically said he is a pawn of white supremacy and that he would go to colleges and try to ruin players' chances of being drafted. Now, Kwame Brown was first round draft pick, and I guess he was the youngest in history at that time. And, he didn't live up to the hype is what they're saying. And so Stephen A. Jackson kind of made a career out of reminding him and everybody that Kwame didn't live up to the hype. And so we're going to have that conversation this evening with Mr. Chucky Brown and see what happened. So, Gary?
Well, I'm going to say this here. I'm a fan of the game. So as I'm watching the game, I've ran across a lot of great players. The one thing that I disagree on was that, they saying, well, Kwame was a bust. Well, there were expectations put on his shoulders as a 17, 18-year-old kid that a lot of 17, 18-year-old kids will never live up to. Like the youngster that I forgot his name got drafted by Dallas and had a mental breakdown. He didn't accomplish the goal. Everybody's not going to be Kobe Bryant. Let's get this straight. Everybody's not going to be Kobe. But to say that this man is a failure, I don't think you're a failure when you stay in the league 12 years, when you make the money that he made. If he got $65 million out the game, you don't fail when you made $65 million. They may have said that he was a bust because he didn't meet their expectations or Jordan's expectations. But Kwame is actually a guy that overachieved, and he did things that only he could imagine he would ever do. You see what I'm saying? This is a kid that didn't have anything, that ended up being the number one pick. And I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know the details of the back rooms where you made him practice 2.5 hours before games and different things. But I also know that they didn't play him right. I also know that they didn't give him a chance. And if you don't put him on the court to do what he needs to do, then he's not going to do it. The best in the business, the Kobe's, the LeBrons, when they first started, they made rookie mistakes. Kwame made mistakes. So, we don't have to talk about bust and Kwame Brown. We can go and start digging in the last 5 years and look at some of these guys who have not. Think the way that they did it, Stephen A. I'm not a fan of Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
I don't like him because everything that Kwame said is the truth. You let them people use you. Mm-hmm. And then you attack black athletes the way that you attack black athletes. I'm not a fan of Matt Barnes. I get it that you're a tough guy. I also know that in the course of a basketball game, I call it protective custody. Matt Barnes like to PC a lot of stuff, because he know that they're going to stop it. He know they're going to stop it. Now, as far as Charlemagne the God, you went a little bit too far, homie. See, because you don't throw rocks at glass houses, man. Because it's something in your past that you don't want nobody to talk about no more. I don't care if you play it to a lesser charge. What you doing in the room with some little girls with some alcohol for anyway, homeboy? You are Kelly Jr.? Send me a cease and desist. Bottom line, you overstepped your boundaries. And Massa, who now has a dilemma on his hands because we're in the cancel era, the cancel era. Really, that boy should be canceled.
Yeah.
Based on what he did. But they keep him there to do what he's doing, not just to KWAME, but to other people. So I wanted to get some insight from an NBA champion, a former NBA player, like KWAME, it's some things like you were saying on one of your podcasts, they brought up Glenn Robinson, the big dog. Glenn didn't mess with nobody.
Nope.
You see, Glenn was quiet. He just played the game.
Yep.
And see, Matt Barnes and the last one I left, Steven Jackson. The biggest disappointment that I've ever seen in my life, you were involved in one of the worst altercations in NBA history when you ran up in them stands, you attacked fans. You see what I'm saying? You really need to shut your mouth. And two grown men sitting on a podcast that got thousands of kids that's looking up to them smoking weed.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't feel that. Chucky, what's going on, my friend?
Oh, what's happening, man? Thank you for having me back, man.
Say, man, anytime, man. Let's start it off with this question. When you saw what was going on, what was the first thing popped in your mind?
Well, I was on social media flipping by, and I saw. I don't listen to the All the Smoke podcast. I don't, but I saw Gilbert Arenas up there, and my initial thought was like, all right, let me hear something crazy. I know he's gonna say something crazy. Let me hear what Gilbert goes say.
Gilbert that had the gun in the locker room.
Yeah, get that. So I thought he would say something crazy. So I said, let me start and listen to this. So as I'm listening, Kwame Brown's name kept coming up, and I initially I turned it off because I'm like, why are they talking about this dude when he don't bother nobody? And Kwame was with the Lakers. I worked for the Lakers developmental league team, so I was around the Lakers a lot, and I was around Kwame, and he was a quiet guy, man. So I'm thinking to myself like, why is his name coming up? So then I turned away from it. And, the next thing, like the next day, Kwame had let loose and, I had no problem with it. At first, initially, I was saying, everything he said was correct, but I wanted the language to be a little better. You know what I'm saying? But then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? That guy got 20 years of frustration, 20 years where, he never said anything to anybody. Saying he had to listen to all these people talking bad about him and never once said anything. So I was like, you know what? If that dude, like, if it was me, nobody gonna tell me how to get it off my chest. So, I was fine with how he got it off his chest because, he sat there and had to listen to that for 20 years. And I'm thinking like, dude, this dude played about 14 years in the league. How in the world can you? I don't know no 14-year bust. I don't know anybody that could play especially basketball, because you've had plenty of 7-footers that have come through that have gotten 3 years in and they're done because they realize they can't play. Obviously, it was something he was able to do that teams still want him, and he didn't like go to a bunch of teams like I did. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was Memphis, the Lakers, the Wizards, and was it anybody else?
Yeah, Detroit. And
okay,
he did Golden State.
Okay, so he did 5. You know what I'm saying? I did 12. So
I think he did 6 in the Sixers too. I think he ended with the Sixers.
Okay, well, he did 6. He did 6. He did half of what I did. So I don't know anybody that could be a bust to play that all those years. And it was really unfair to him how he came in the league. He came in the league with probably a veteran team, and back then they didn't like to play young players. So young players come in and then they got to sit. And the one thing that I do agree with Gilbert on, he said when he got to Washington that Kwame's confidence and was down, and I could see that by him being all world, coming out #1 pick, and then you not play. He didn't have the luxury like Kobe did. When Kobe came out, there was Eddie Jones there. So he could sit and watch Eddie Jones. You know what I'm saying? And then when the Lakers felt like Kobe was ready, they moved Eddie Jones. So he didn't have that luxury. He didn't have the luxury of, like, say, when LeBron came out. LeBron came out of high school. LeBron came to a franchise that was horrible at the time. So he was able to play, jump right in. Everything was built around him. He didn't have that luxury. So, I understand his frustration. And, Stephen A. Smith, he gets on there and talks bad about, just like Kwame said about the black athletes. I mean, he didn't lie not one time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a fan of Stephen A. Smith either. I stopped watching him probably about 5 years ago. I forgot what it was he did, but I stopped watching. I'm like, look, I can't watch this clown. He is just, and Stephen A. tries to play both sides of the fence. Like his latest thing that I heard he said, I read it on the internet, where he said that Tim Tebow getting signed with Jacksonville was white privilege. I happen to disagree with that. White privilege would be if every team in the league would sign him. That would be white privilege. Only team that's going to sign him is Jacksonville, and that's because he knows Urban Meyer and played for him. So Tim Tebow knows somebody. It's good to know somebody. You can say that for Tim Tebow. But back to Kwame, I understand his frustration, man, and he had every right to go at everybody. And like you said, Matt Barnes, and I know Matt Barnes, I know Steven, and and probably one of the reasons why I don't watch the All the Smoke podcast, because I wouldn't want, you got kids that look up to you. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to be on there, smoking weed and they seeing that. I mean, if you do that, that should be in your private time. Nobody ain't got to know about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's plenty of people that do it. You know what I'm saying? But they do it in their private time. That's something you do for private. Some people may consider it an adult beverage. You know what I'm saying? So, it is what it is. But I totally disagree with that. But like Kwame said, they like, we don't have to worry about anybody else killing us, because they're gonna do it for everybody else. So, I don't have a problem with Kwame, what he did, what he said. I don't have a problem with it at all.
Well, I tell you this, it was always three players around that era that they tried to put a lot of heat on. It was Kwame, it was Eddie Curry, and it was Tyson Chandler. And they always tried to act like them boys could not play. Well, Tyson been in the league forever. If you let him play, he's a hell of a ball player. If you put Curry in the right position, which I think he needs to be a power forward. He should have been a power forward instead of sticking him down in the 5 spot.
Right.
But if you don't allow them to play, then they won't get good. You get good because you do it repetitiously. You see what I'm saying? If Jordan don't take 40 shots a game, he don't make 20.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? But I just don't like the way Stephen A. does what he does. And donkey of the day is a small cry for Charlemagne. He should be donkey of the goddamn year. Because Charlemagne is something that Black America and women should have a problem with.
Right. I totally
agree. You want to talk bad about Kwame Brown? Black women should have a problem with Charlemagne the God, and his boss should have a problem employing him at this point. Donovan,
and you are exactly correct. And I don't mean to interrupt, but I forgot to address the Charlemagne. See, Charlemagne was trying to be slick. He was trying to say, all right, I know him, leave him alone. I know his family. And then you say that, but you stop there. Now you go on to say, well, his daddy in jail, killed somebody, his brother killed somebody, his daddy allegedly buried somebody alive. So now all that you said about leave him alone, nobody heard that. They heard all of this other madness. They're like, well, damn, maybe he will, go crazy and try to kill somebody. You know what I'm saying? So I thought Charlemagne was trying to be slick, and he deserved exactly what he got. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, absolutely. Here's what I don't understand. Like, how do you label a guy a bust? He was the first high schooler to be chosen #1. In the year that he left, when he graduated high school, he was averaging 20 points, 5-something blocks a game, whatever, right? You get drafted by one of the greatest players of all time, Michael Jordan, which is a lot of pressure to begin with. You have a 13-year career. And trust me, there's a lot of folks on the playground right now that can ball. But Chuck, could you tell us, let's throw out the number 1 seed. How hard is it to get into the NBA? Because you made it. And people don't understand that. And to go number 1, one, oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, man, it's extremely hard. You have to dedicate your life to it, really, because, once you're drafted, if you want to stay, if you want to stick around, you have to sacrifice like a life of a social life, pretty much, because you're not going to be able to do both. Like they say, you can't burn it at both ends of the candle. So it's very hard because you have to constantly work on your craft, because every year they're looking at someone to come in that can replace you every year. You know what I mean? No matter who you are, unless you're like a Kobe Bryant, a Michael Jordan, a Magic Johnson. Those guys they don't look to replace. But if you're not one of them guys, they're looking to replace you every year. So it's extremely hard. So he and like I said, he stayed like 13, 14 years. You could look over the years and call out other people that have done less. And like I forgot about Eddie Curry, the situation he was put in, and Tyson Chandler. Tyson Chandler. I know Tyson too, and Tyson. I know the last I checked, it was like 17 years. So I don't know how you could be a bust with that. Putting that amount of time in, but it's extremely hard to play in the NBA, man. It's only. I know back when I played, it was only like 300 people. Out of the whole world, playing. You're one of 300 people. So, it's extremely hard. And, for talking heads, like Kwame said, man, he said it right, man. How you going to sit there and talk about somebody who's doing something that you could never do? You know what I'm saying? Like, Kwame can come right now and get on ESPN and do Stephen A's job, but Stephen A can never do what Kwame did. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really sit there and talk about someone calling him a bust and Stephen A calling him a scrub. Let's go pull up Stephen A's stats, what he did at Winston-Salem State. He was in college at Winston-Salem State at the same time I was at NC State. I never heard of him. You know what I'm saying? I never heard of him. So we were in college at the same time. So, and I remember when he was a beat writer.
When you think about a bust, and then I'll lead this down to Demetra. When I think of a bust, I think of Johnny Manziel.
Yep.
When I think of a bust, I think of Tony Baselli. Not Tony Baselli, but the boy that got drafted with Green Bay was supposed to have been the best lineman they ever saw.
Tony
Mandridge.
Yep.
I think of busts like that. Yep. But these guys didn't survive. I'm going to show you a real bust. If we want to talk about sports, let's talk about Brian Bosworth. All world at the University of Oklahoma until Bo Jackson ran over your ass and you were never the same after that.
Right.
That's a bust. But, 12 years in the league, you're not a bust. You're.
Yep, I agree. And I bet guys like Brian Bosworth and Tony Mandridge, they'll call themselves a bust. They'll say it themselves. I guarantee you that.
Ryan Leaf.
Yep. Another one. Yep. Heath Schuler was like number 5 pick for the Redskins quarterback. I don't think he made it 3 years. I don't even think he made it 3 years.
Yeah. What was that guy? He was drafted. And he's still, I think he's in the G League. He was drafted number 1 by what's his name's team? LeBron's team. He didn't, and he's still playing. He got overweight and stuff, but he went number 1. He lasted like 2 years. Then he jumped down. I have to look him up in my thing, but he was
Anthony Bennett. Was it Anthony Bennett?
Yes.
That's another one.
And the last bust for me was the quarterback from LSU, the black quarterback that could throw it 70 yards on his knees, and couldn't throw it 10 yards when that linebacker was coming up in his face. Demetra.
Yep.
So to me, this is a situation of when the bully actually gets a black eye. Now you have Charlemagne the God, and all these people who were talking about him. And I've seen a lot of comments, even in the comment section, saying, "Oh, well, he was just hurt," or somebody said he was frustrated and it was a ticking time bomb. Or is it just the fact that he's had enough? And it's like, you wanted my attention, now you have it. I was minding my business, and y'all keep wanting to run me low and all this other stuff. So you didn't think you were going to get this Kwame. You thought you were going to get the one that was 20 years ago, and he didn't say much. And I actually have something to say. And so I think this should be a lesson for everybody. Be careful what you say about people. And, Penelope, I see you in the comment section, trying to defend Charlemagne. But Charlemagne wasn't just making it a point that Kwame's father was this. He went a step further and said, well, I'm going to call my daddy and see, because, he know the whole story. And I know his sister. And, they chose violence and he'll chose, So it was more to it than that. He wasn't trying to be informational. But the other thing is, who said it was his job to put that information out about Kwame? And like Kwame said, I didn't know all of those things. And how dare Charlemagne disclose that information to my children who didn't know that about their relatives? And so it's more to it than him just, being hurt. I mean, I think anybody would respond the same way. So I think we should be careful of what we say about people. And so I actually like Kwame. I mean, I've never heard him speak before last week. And he actually has a lot of great things to say, from relationships to politics. And so, hey, they say God works in mysterious ways. And so maybe Kwame is what the people need to hear right now. I wouldn't call him a leader, but he's definitely waking people up. And, and I like the fact that he's calling Stephen Jackson and Matt Barnes, but more so Stephen Jackson, to the carpet and saying, hey, you a grown man. You walking around here smoking weed, you're sagging, and you talking about you're going to get your boys on me because, I need to be quiet and all of that. And like you said, Chucky, he has people looking up to him, and that's how you talking. We are. And then one thing I really love that he said today, he said is y'all don't have a problem stepping to another black man, but you got all these people, and he did say George Zimmerman is still walking around, but yet you don't have a problem, stepping to another brother over nonsense. But there's people who you really could say stuff to, but you won't dare. So
that's right. That's right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that, man. George Zimmerman's still walking around here. Darren Wilson's still walking around here. So, if you're gonna do something, you do it to them. Do something to them. They shouldn't be walking around here after what they did. And they did it to somebody that looked like you. So, I agree with them. I agree with them.
I'll say this here, man, that just sitting there, I don't listen to the podcast. I'm not a Matt Barnes fan. I think he played tough guy too many times, knowing that the refs was gonna stop it. It looked good. But see, Kwame put me in the mind frame of Karl Malone. Them country boys ain't to be played with.
Right.
When you listen to Kwame talk, that's a little bit how Carl used to talk. When he felt like talking, he gonna let you know that you really don't want this smoke. Because I ain't gonna play with you. I run up on you, I'm gonna run up on you. So I think that they started a conversation that they were not ready for. And Kwame came out bussing. And you know what? I'm glad that he did.
Yep.
Because I know they didn't treat him right when he was in the league. I had partners that was in the league. They didn't treat him right when he was in the league. And bottom line, you're not a bust when you make $65 million. Well, goddamn it, I'd love to be a bust today too.
Yeah, and going as a number one pick, just because he was the number one pick, he got a guaranteed $12 million. No college.
But normally you get these old messed up comments from the Stephen A's who seem to be experts at the game of basketball when they really was trash when they were doing it. You got Mel Kiper who can tell you who the best player is going to be in the NFL, and you ain't never played it down.
Yeah, and Mel Kiper has been wrong 70% of the time. I mean, the guy just doesn't know basketball whatsoever.
He don't know football.
Football,
Mel Kiper don't know
football. I'm sorry.
But as far as Stephen A. Smith, he is a tool of the white media that controls him. He is a tool. He likes tearing down black athletes. And my thing is you're not going to tear these boys down. You don't know what the hell they went through just to make it to the league. And at the end of the day, you could be on a championship team. Oh, well, he the worst one on the team, but he on the goddamn team.
But he
Stephen A.
You
ain't made an AAU team. Somebody get this video to Stephen A. Smith. You ain't made an AAU team. You talk loud. You know, you really want to be Stuart Scott. That's what you really want to be.
Right.
But you can't.
Right.
So you talk loud, you run your mouth, but Kwame Brown is a grown man that'll slap the shit out of you if he run up on you right now.
Well, you know,
and he told him that.
yeah, you know, but here's my question, Chuck, and then maybe you could address this. I got a couple questions, but you know, I'm about the money. When it comes down to it, I'm about the money. This man is a bust, and you see a lot of people who played in the league for a lot of years, and then they don't have any money, be it alimony, child support, all this other stuff. This young man, who is a quote bust, has farmland all up the yin yang in Atlanta and hasn't worked since he retired from the NBA 7 or 8 years ago. Right. And, it has that money. So my question would be, with the way these contracts are and how things are, and guys go bust, you go bust after your career is over, you're dead damn broke. Mm-hmm. How is that structured like that these people who really don't have any money, and yet you have a guy that's like this guy who he's get labeled all this stuff, but if you look at his bank account, he's straight.
Right.
How do we explain that?
Well, I think that for in the past, the NBA had rules where when you retired that you couldn't touch your money. I think you can touch it early at like 45. You can touch your retirement, and you can touch it at 50 fully. You get a certain percentage at 45. And I think that now they changed the rules a little bit, where now I think it's like they put the age up to like 35. You can start collecting your retirement. So I think that you will hear those stories a little less. And plus the money that they're making now is, you got guys that, averaging 7 points, making 60 million. You know what I'm saying? So the money has gotten a lot better now. But I think years ago, guys wasn't making a whole lot of money. Even the stars, weren't making a whole lot of money. They're making more than, the regular role players, but they weren't making a lot of money. I think the money has gotten better. And I think the NBA has tried to do a better job of taking care of their guys after they're done. Because, one sport that you don't hear about guys being broke is like baseball. I mean, all of the drugs and stuff you heard about Darryl Strawberry, the cocaine, and you never heard he was broke though. You never heard that one. You know what I'm saying? It was not good. You never heard that one. So I think baseball right now probably does the best job at taking care of their players. And I think that the NBA is trying to do a better job. And I think it helps because the average career is like 3.5, 4 years. So I think it helps, moving the retirement age up for some guys.
Well, I tell you what, I want to smoke. I want to smoke, Chucky. Get it to him. Play Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes, the only thing you famous for, big homie, is your ex-wife, Gloria Govan. Now, I really liked when she was on, YouTube and she did the split and I could see the camel toe. You married a freak. You married a freak. Tell us about all the domestic violence claims that she made against you, Matt. Stephen, let's go to Steven Jackson. Your claim to fame is riding around the city of Houston in black-on-black BMWs with a bunch of motherfuckers from Port Arthur not doing nothing but smoking dope. Making everybody scared of you. Right. Yeah, I want to smoke, man. Stephen A., you trash. I can't shoot my way out of a paper bag, and I beat your ass in a game of horse.
Well, let me change the subject here just to kind of lighten it up a little bit. So, gosh, Gary, boy, Lord, he's trying to get everybody in trouble. We all don't want to smoke like that.
But Matt ain't do nothing when Derek Fisher was smashing Gloria. He ain't do nothing.
One thing, Lord have mercy. One thing I like that Kwame said is, he was talking about land versus Nike because he was saying that a lot of them are wearing Nike and the latest clothing and stuff. But he was like, I got some land, But he says that if Michael Jordan were to leave Nike, he says most black people wouldn't even leave with him. That's how unloyal he was saying black people are really to black people. But I want to ask you this, Chucky. Kwame also went in on Jemele Hill. Are you familiar with that whole little debacle there?
I'm not familiar with what he said to Jemele Hill, but I'm familiar with Jemele Hill.
So she basically jumped in the dog pile, if you will, and she put up a tweet that said he chose violence. And so I guess that's a term from Game of Thrones. And so he got wind of it and he just dragged her, basically saying she was a tool of white supremacy. She's always talking down on black men. And, so her feelings were hurt. And she was like, well, I didn't mean it that way. And, he, attacked me. And so what is your thoughts on that? Do you think Jemele Hill deserved that?
From what I've read about her, I've always liked Jemele Hill, to be honest with you. I've never looked at her as someone that tore down black men. So I would disagree with him on that one because I thought that when her and Michael Smith had the show on ESPN, I thought they got rid of them because they were too black. They were too black. I thought they weren't company people. They didn't seem like company people on the TV. So they got rid of their show. But I've always thought, at least what I've seen from Jemele Hill, that she always kind of spoke highly of black people in general, and has always had positive things to say, and like she seems to have spoken out against the industry and the status quo. So like I said, I missed that one when I know he said something about Jemele, but I didn't know what Jemele Hill said to get it. You know what I'm saying? So, but she seemed like she seemed pretty cool to me.
Well, let me just finish that really quick. So when I say that she talked down to black men, she actually had taken a lot of heat the latter part of last year. And one of the tweets she said is, and this is regarding the whole Biden election, the election of 2020. And she says, I have increasingly found that many black men just want better access to patriarchy. They don't actually want to dismantle it. And so she was basically blaming black men for wanting to be in control, I guess, of women. And so a lot of people, black men specifically, took her to task as like, so you're going to put that on the shoulder of black men when patriarchy really is in control, is controlled by white men. And so she said, some things like that. And they have actually taken her to task for just, little tweets like that. And so I just wanted, to kind of put you abreast of why they said that. And I just wondered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never heard that. I never heard her say that. So that's new to me. And that's surprising to hear that. Like I said, like the stuff that I use, and I don't really like get on Twitter like that. I'm mostly on like Facebook more than Twitter. And I catch little things here and there, but I never had caught anything that she had said, about black men. I never had caught that. So that is a little surprising to hear her say that.
Well, let me ask you this, Chucky. You've been out of the league for a few years now. You got that beautiful championship ring that's probably worth a couple $100,000. I don't know how many diamonds are in there, but once you leave the league and stuff, and you're out there and you're doing things, and and we know that you're out and about in the community doing a lot of stuff. How often do you have people in the neighborhood that want to kind of go into that basketball path and do it? And what advice do you give them? Like, hey, maybe you should go to school, or because I honestly believe that, and this is just me because we're still on the Kwame Brown thing. I honestly believe if Kwame had gone to college for a year or two, his whole career path through the NBA, I think, would have been different. What do you think?
Right. I agree with you on that. As far as like advice I would give to kids, as far as like a kid, if he wanted to come out of high school and go to the pros, I would just let them know, like, look, I mean, I'm not telling you what to do, what not to do, but maybe you should maybe try a year of college, or now I think they've done the thing where they let guys go to the G League now, because a lot of these kids don't want to go through that grind of college because it's a year-round grind. You don't make any money for it, and you're making all this money for the school. So a lot of kids, they become more aware, so they don't want to do that anymore. So I mean, I would just tell a kid, if you want to just make some money, if school ain't for you, just long as they make their own decision, I don't want to make a decision for them and would say what they listen to me, or I listen to him and now they can blame me. No, you make your own decision. I'll tell you the positive and the negatives that I see, but I would just say, like, look, it's going to take a certain amount of sacrifice. If this is what you want to do, it's going to take a certain amount of sacrifice, and this is a job. I know it's, all fun and, you love being in the NBA, but it's a job. It's a job. That's all it is. So, and then, like I said earlier, they're always constantly looking to replace you. So I would say, look, sacrifice. If you want to sacrifice this right here, you got to sacrifice a social life, and you gotta, you gotta work on your craft. You gotta. If you come like 1 year, if you come in and jump shot is your thing, you better believe the next year you've been scouted, you're gonna have to do more. So now you got to work on your off the dribble game. Next thing you know, they're gonna take those away. Now you're gonna work on your low post game. So now you have to well round yourself. So I would let a guy know, like, look, if you're gonna go, you got to work on your craft. You can't be out here partying. You can't do what other people do. You know what I'm saying? You have to get your head, like in the books, you got to get your head on that court, and you have to study your craft and get better at your craft.
A lot of people say, study your books and do what you need to do. If you're in college, you'll focus on your academics. But when there comes a time when somebody puts you in that elite company where you could possibly go pro. I've gotten calls from some of my friends with their children who had the opportunity. And I always refer back to the Chris Webber situation. Mm-hmm. I say Webber talked to everybody. He talked to Jordan, he talked to Magic, he talked to Bird. I say, but he didn't make the decision to go pro until he talked to Anthony Hardaway, Penny Hardaway. And Penny told him, he say, what do we go to college for? He say, to get a degree. He say, what does that degree allow you to do? He say, well, go out and get a good job. He say, well, who gonna pay you $15 million a year fresh out of college? He say, man, go back and get your degree. You may not get this opportunity again. You may tear your knee up. You don't know what's gonna happen. So that's what made Webber go pro, because at the time, Webber was, he was broke. Family didn't have no money, and he made the decision to go pro. And of course, now we know the rest is history. NBA Hall of Famer, and the thing is I think a lot of people who are not sports inclined, they say, make these decisions, make that decision, but you're not in the position. You've never been in that position. This just happened to me a few years ago. A friend called me. Son was in a bowl game, in his junior year, had a bowl game, had 5 sacks. He say, man, what you think? I say, let him go.
Right.
Let him go. I say, the worst he gonna do is second round. Let him go. Mama talked him out of it. He goes back to school. In the spring, he gets a concussion. Whole senior year, a wash. Gone down to 2. Didn't even get drafted. But if you'd have went when you needed to go, you'd have had your money. Now, I don't think it's fair that only first round draft picks get guaranteed contracts. I don't like that. I think the unions need to work on that. I think at least up to the second round, whether NBA or NFL, those contracts should be guaranteed, because I don't know very many second rounders who get cut in the NFL. I don't know very many. So, I think that money should be guaranteed. And I just think that people need to understand that when it's time for them kids to go, if they telling you, look, your son gonna get drafted in the top 5, you better pull a LeVar Ball.
Yeah, get out of here.
Then let him go. Well, he ain't got a degree yet. He go back in the summer and get that ass Shaq. That's what it is, Dimitri.
I'm really quick. I just want to address Penelope. You know, I see you keep saying that at the end of the day, Kwame was hurt. And I think that's just too simple to say, oh, well, he was hurt. I mean, because then you also remove the onus and the blame from the people who started it, you know, because a person defends himself. Now you want to say, oh, he was just hurt. I think he did what most people would have did, and that's defend themselves and say, hey, hello, you got my attention, you know, and the rest is history. So I think we should stop saying it's simply because he's hurt, he's reacting that way. It doesn't sound like people really knew him at all outside of basketball. But Chucky, let me ask you this. Kwame also made reference to LeVar Ball, and he basically gave him his flowers and praised him, you know, for getting 3 of his sons, you know, to play pro basketball. And he was saying how it's a shame that Stephen A. Smith and a lot of the people were trying to demonize LeVar, you know, saying that he was too this and he was too that, and the boys are afraid and this, that, and the other. And he was saying, you know, why are you guys trying to mess up their family dynamic? Without their father, they wouldn't be where they are. And so he just wanted to say, you know, big ups to him. So what is your opinion on a LeVar Ball?
Oh, man, I love LeVar Ball. I got a guy that played for me when I coached the defenders, and he's friends with LeVar Ball. And when LeVar Ball was doing his thing, I called him and said, look, you know, I got to meet LeVar Ball. So if you could ever set that up, you know, I'd love to do that. And it just so happens that LeVar, he's probably in Charlotte. You know, hopefully I can run into him in Charlotte. I'm in North Carolina as well. But I think what LeVar Ball did, you know, he did nothing but show love for his sons. He tried to, and I really think his plan got sabotaged with the sneaker game, because he did something that nobody else thought about doing, which was challenging Nike, Adidas, and you know, any other big shoe company. He challenged them, and he was using his own son to do it. So I think that plan got a little sabotage. But you know, I got nothing but love for LeVar Ball. I love what he did. You know, because if he's not going to fight, who else is going to fight as hard for his sons? You know what I'm saying? They're his son. Nobody else is going to fight as hard for them. So yeah, they could call him. And they did try to demonize him. I remember one time, I think they got him on the TV, and they tried to jam him up, but you know, they couldn't do it because he was ready for that. And they tried to jam him up, and they had to kind of switch the subject real quick. But you know, I got nothing but love for LeVar Ball, man. I think what he did is amazing, and the love that he showed for his sons is amazing. So you know, and like I said, why would you want to break that up? You know, luckily that their family dynamic is stronger than the rumors or whatever they were trying to do.
Look, LeVar Ball is no different than Archie Manning.
Yeah, exactly.
He's no different.
No different.
Archie Manning did not want his son to go to the Chargers.
Yep.
We will sit him out.
Yep.
He forced him to send his son to the New York Giants.
That's right.
He knew what was best for his son. Yep. So LeVar, I applaud LeVar for being who he is. And I would challenge NBA players, the LeBrons and all these guys with all this money. Why don't y'all just show us group economics? Won't you take some of your money, hook up with KD, hook up with Chris Paul, hook up with Carmelo, start your own goddamn shoe company.
Yep.
Start your own. They can't stop
Start
you.
your own league.
Start your own stuff, man. But they want to jam LeVar because LeVar gonna let them know at the end of the day, I'm their biggest fan, but I'm their father. And you ain't finna handle me or handle my boys like you think. But LeVar Ball is no different than Archie Manning.
Yep. Absolutely. You know, well, here's my question for you, Chuck, and I think it's one of the most important questions of the night. We are in the playoffs, the playoff format. Who do you got? Who do you got winning it all?
You know, I'll be honest. I don't really watch NBA till the playoffs, so I didn't see a whole lot of regular season, but I watched playoff games yesterday. And from what I saw yesterday, and I think it was Saturday, there were games on Saturday too. So from what I saw, I think that, you know, I picked
the
Utah.
Clippers choked. Game one, Clippers choked.
Yeah. And I didn't see their game, but they got two of the better perimeter defenders in the league, and they still got killed. And I think Dallas is a little better than they were when they played in the playoffs last year. So, and I don't think the Clippers got better because they lost when they lost Lou Williams. They lost a lot, in my opinion. That scoring off the bench is very important. But from what I saw, I have not seen Philly yet. I got to watch Philly. But from what I saw, right now I'm going to say Brooklyn, Utah in the finals. Brooklyn is a sexy pick, but I don't unless they defend better, they're not going to win. They got to get some stops. They just can't continue to trade basket for basket. And the way they play with all the one-on-one stuff, that's not going to get you. I don't think the one-on-one stuff is going to get you title. You got to have a little bit of ball movement, then get to the one-on-one. You can't just come down one pass and sit there and watch one guy do his thing. You got to, touch at least 3 or 4 passes before the shot goes up and make everybody feel involved. So right now, I'm going to go with them, but I've heard that Philadelphia is tough. So I will watch. I think they play tonight. So I will watch them tonight. After this Bucks game goes off, I'll watch Philly tonight.
I actually say I like Ric Flair's statement for the last 40 years. To beat a man, you got to beat the man.
That's
and
right.
they're going to have to beat LeBron. That's just how I feel. You're going to have to beat him. He's a champion. He's been here before.
Right.
On the other side of the ball, that three-headed monster up in Brooklyn. Whoa. Mm-hmm. They can explode at any minute.
Yeah.
Now, here's the question I want to ask you, because Rudy Tomjanovich got, inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame. And he made a comment that I truly believe that it should happen. Does Robert Horry deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I'm gonna say this: there's not many guys with 7 rings, So what is the criteria that we're going by? And when people ask, like some people had questioned whether Chris Webber should be in the Hall of Fame, and my initial comeback was, well, Yao Ming is in there. You know what I'm saying? So what did Yao Ming do to get in there? You know what I'm saying? So if that's the case, I think Robert will probably get in. I think Dwight Howard will be in eventually. You got
Chucky,
Yao Ming in there.
Can you sing this with me when you say Yao Ming? He ain't did a goddamn thing.
All right, cool. Let's go. You ready? 1, 2, 3. He ain't did a goddamn thing.
Nothing. He did nothing to be in the Hall of Fame.
Well,
but I think that Horry, when I look back at those championship runs with the Spurs, with the Rockets, with the Lakers,
right,
that boy hit some shots.
Right.
That they wouldn't have won if he didn't hit them shots. But he got 7 rings.
Right.
And they try to knock you when you ain't got no rings.
Right.
But the man got something.
Yeah, what we doing here? You know what I'm saying? What we doing here? They try to, they knock Karl Malone and they knock John Stockton, they knock Charles Barkley because they don't have rings. Well, the guy got rings. And it ain't like he was just on the team. He was out there in the mix. You know what I'm saying? So I can remember a game we were up in Toronto, and we were down 2. We were down 2 late in the game. Robert was 0 for 8 from the field. He was 0 for 8. Most guys 0 for 8 probably are not going to be in the game, you know what I'm saying, or they're not going to take that shot. Robert, not only did Robert take the shot, but he hit a 3 for us to beat Toronto, and he went like 1 for 9 that game. The one shot he hit was the biggest shot of the game. And, Rudy showed incredible confidence in putting or keeping him in the game. You know what I'm saying? So I think that also helped. So what criteria are they using, for the Hall of Fame is my thing. You know what I mean? So I know Yao Ming did a lot of international work, but I think a lot of that was, a lot of business, with USA and China or the NBA in China. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that was a lot of business. You know, so they were looking at the big picture, and I think that's part of the reason why he got in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, because a lot of people keep forgetting they have those big Chinese leagues over there where a lot of brothers go over there and play. So
Yes.
yeah, I would say the international and the business part of it, I think that gives a lot of people who can't make the NBA an opportunity to go over there.
Okay, so we're using the international side to put people in the Hall of Fame. When they gonna put Stephon Marbury in there? Because he went international and set the game on fire. They wouldn't give him a shot over here, but he over there, he a god.
He's so a god.
I think Marbury should be in the Hall of Fame.
And Marbury, what people don't talk about too is Marbury got land over there. He got properties over there. You know what I'm saying? So people ain't talking about that. Not only is his shoe selling over there, but he's got property over there. And when you got property, that's big.
Well, I just want a piece of that property in poppy fields.
I'm actually looking at a little back and forth in the comment section about one of the ball boys, and somebody brought up that he's dating a porn star, and somebody made a good point in saying it's none of our business. And then the other person says, well, it's in public, so it is our business. And I just want to go on record and saying it's not our business. She happens to be a porn star. And, who are we to care who he dates? It's like none of our business, right?
No, and I agree with you, because y'all out there not telling the truth about who y'all sleeping with for FEMA money. They sleeping with folks for FEMA money.
That's right.
Well, in all seriousness, though, I do want to say that Steven Jackson did apologize, and on his Instagram, I'm assuming it is, he says, and this is the way he wrote it, so forgive me, y'all run and publicly apologize to other folks when they threaten your jobs, but won't apologize to your family member. No pride here. I apologize for the joke I made. I made it publicly and was meant as a joke, nothing more. I respect how you feel. I fully understand. Wasn't my intention. We was teammates, and I never have and never will demean one. So Steven Jackson did go on and apologize because, it was getting pretty nasty, and so I think it's big of him, if you will, to say, you know what, I was wrong and I'm sorry. And he made a good point. And, you let somebody who don't look like you do something to you. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
Right. Well, I think that was big of Steven to do that. But I also think, it's always, better late than never, whatever you say. But I think that's what should have been done in the beginning. When you saw how upset he was, he should have been like, hey, look, my bad, man. But at first they doubled down on it. It was like, yo, your whole career was this, that, and other. They doubled down on it at first, and that probably just led Kwame to get a little more personal. You know what I'm saying? So, initially I think that should have been. But it's good he did it. But initially that's what should have been done. And that's what real men do. You want to call yourself a man? When you wrong, you apologize. That's what men do.
Well, I'll say this here, and the apologies are there. But I always tell people, words are like bullets. Once you shoot them, you can't take them back.
That's right.
Once you shoot them, you can't take them back. So you need to be careful of what you say and who you say it to. Mm-hmm. Because Kwame don't look like he playing.
No.
So if he ain't playing, I know his people ain't playing.
Right.
So they need to be very careful. And Charlemagne, you from Carolina, bro. You from the sticks. You already know what it is, man.
You already know.
And don't let them people gas you up. But see, here's the problem that I have. You apologize. We can move on from it. But you are going to do it again.
Yep.
But you're going to make sure you do it to somebody that you feel ain't going to fire back at you.
Won't fire back at you. Yep. That's it. Yep. You took the words out of my mouth. That's exactly what's going to happen. Yep.
Well, luckily they are just words and they're not bullets, right? I mean, I think sometimes we have to say, okay, I didn't love what you said to me. You apologize. Right. I'm gonna move on because Kwame says he's about bigger things, and that is actually helping kids that was like him, his free lunch program and helping them get shoes and stuff. So I think that's the bigger picture. So hopefully they can move past it and, work together one day, right?
Right. Pit Stop says, also, if you hold on to animosity, it will kill you on the inside. Let me make you aware of something. Kwame was not hurt. He was disrespected.
Right.
You have to understand when you disrespect a man, there are certain things that you can say to us, and there's certain things that you cannot say to us. There's certain things you can do to us, and there's certain things you cannot do to us.
That's
Disrespect and hurt is two different things. You see what I'm saying? So they need to be careful. But I'm telling you, you can count it. You can take it to the bank, make a bet on it in Vegas. They gonna do it again.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna say this here: Matt Barnes and Stephen may not do it again, but Stephen A. Smith gonna do it again.
Yeah,
Yep.
he gets paid to do that.
Yep.
But Chuck, let me ask you this. Now, you got a lot of these people that make all this money, millions of dollars, endorsements, all this other stuff. But here we are looking at these retired millionaires acting like ordinary people. I mean, do actual millionaires actually move like that? I'm not saying that the money makes you, but you would think, having made all that money, you would move a little different in the public eye. So, I mean, what is your take on that? I mean, as somebody who's been in the NBA, you've made a lot of money. I mean, do they really move like that when they're in the NBA? I mean, does nothing change? It's just, they just got money.
I think with some guys, they want to live a certain way, and they don't want to change. But I think with other guys, once they start making the money, I think they become more private. Some guys become more private. You know what I'm saying? And they move a little differently. But some guys, they want to call themselves keeping it real. So they want to continue to do the things, what I'm saying, that they've been doing, and you really can't anymore. You know what I'm saying? Once you start, becoming more of a public figure, you can't do, some of the things that, regular people do. You're not a regular person. You know what I'm saying? Because when you go out, if you go out to a bowling alley and a fight breaks out, they see you there. If 100 people could throw a chair and they not know who they are, you throw the chair, they're gonna say, I saw Chucky Brown throw a chair. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I didn't see who Joe Blow. I don't know who that guy is, but I know him. I know he did. You know what I'm saying? So once you become, recognizable, you can't move the same way. You just can't. As bad as you want to, you can't.
Well, I know a lot of people, they caught wind of Deion later in his career. Deion Sanders. Oh, this guy's animated. Now, Deion been Deion since he was young. That's been Deion since he was young. He was fly. He was flamboyant. He didn't need Hammer. The man said on the day he got drafted, they're going to have to put me on layaway. Because Deion was just Deion. You see what I'm saying? But I know when you become instantly an instant millionaire, I don't know Chucky. I don't know his personal business, but I know Chucky when he made the team and he started doing some good things, all of a sudden his family got bigger. His phone started ringing from people that needed money. They needed this. They needed that. He ain't see him a day in his life, but all of a sudden, that's my cousin. And, these guys deal with a lot when they are there. That's why I just say, Matt and Steven, you could do more. It can be called all the smoke, but you got kids watching you smoke weed on a podcast. Come on, man. And the people that are paying you don't have a problem with you doing that.
Yeah.
And then you got us out here on the ground trying to save these young boys, and they watching you do that as an athlete.
Yeah, it's defeating the purpose.
They go to college and smoke weed. Try it.
Yep.
Try it, and you ain't the top guy. Your piss test gonna come back bad. And Nick Saban gonna tell you ain't playing this week.
Yep.
So I don't agree with that. I just think that they got to set a better example, and people like celebrities shouldn't raise your kids. I get that. But at the same time, they are who they are.
That's right.
They people look up to them. So I mean, you got to play the part. But I know a lot of guys that my good friend Santana Dotson played in the NFL for 12 years, never had an injury until his last year. But SD never stopped being SD. He was always the same. But I will say that when he made it to the league, he had to become more private to protect himself and to protect his family.
That's right.
So if they don't want to kick it with you, they don't want to come to the hood every day. Like Joe Young, he made it to the league. Now he's overseas doing great things. Joe come back going to his grandma's house. They pull him over. pull him over and doing bad. And I saw it and had to get on, call HPD. Y'all can get up off him. That boy don't do nothing but good. But see, this is why they have to withdraw, because they get it from every angle.
That's right.
Well, like I said, too, at the end of the day, hopefully everybody can get on with the business of, being conducive, being productive. Because, the fact of the matter is we got a lot of Black people. We got, I should say, enough Black people feuding and fighting and, over nothing, right? And I like to say that Kwame, he's made a lot of good points. There's a lot of things we, need to be doing for each other. And so hopefully this will blow over. As far as Charlemagne the God, I mean, if he did those things and it sounds like he admitted it, he'll have to deal with that. But I think as far as everybody, trying to focus on that, I think there's other things that we can do. I'm not saying he should get away with it. I'm not saying that. But, we got other fish to fry. And I will say this, too.
If we let him go, let R. Kelly go.
Well,
let me just, I mean.
Wait, no, I'm not.
Those girls,
I'm not. No.
But R. Kelly locked up.
I'm not absolving any of them of any of that at all. Because truth be told, nobody was mad about it. Now people got mad about it once Kwame said it. So that's what I said, people with the fake outrage, because nobody was really mad about it until Kwame brought it up again. Now everybody's, oh my God, Charlemagne needs to go to jail. But so it's like, was you mad? Or are you mad now because Kwame brought it up? And so, like I said, Charlemagne will have to deal with that if he indeed has done that. But, Kwame made a good point too. He's got a lot of women around him, and Tamika Mowry happens to be one of them, because he published her book. That is the first book on his publishing company that he published, and it was hers. And so she's a president or a co-founder of the women's movement. So that doesn't jive really, right? And so maybe she'll take him to task, but I think it's, I don't want to say it's a distraction because of what he did, but I think now people are trying to get mad about something they let go a long time ago. So
yeah, that's a good point.
They let it go, and that's okay if they let it go. Let Bill Cosby go. Let R. Kelly go. Let everybody go if we gonna let them go. But I mean, I'm one of them dudes that just ain't gonna let that go. I had a problem with it from day one. I don't speak on it very much. And, I just say you shouldn't have put yourself in a compromising position. It is what it is. You did. You took a deal. So, if you didn't do anything, you don't take no deal.
That's right. That's right.
You got enough money to fight. You don't take no deal. But you took a deal. But if people are good with it, I'm good with it. I just say when something pop off, you can't get to counseling who you want to counsel just because you don't like them. You counsel all of them or you leave them all alone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it. Like I said, I'm not trying to say anyone should get away with it. I just think we should stop, jumping on everybody's, bandwagon. And, it's like, let's start thinking for ourselves. And I really think that's the point that Kwame is making. We, in the society, we are told what to think. Like, we rarely know how to think anymore. So we really should start thinking for ourselves. And, and I think you made the point too, as far as letting these celebrities, become our leaders and, guide us and steer us into, things that we wouldn't ordinarily do. Like you said, most people are posting and doing things for likes and follows. So it's like, who are you really following? So
final thoughts, Mr. Donovan.
Hey, I just want to thank NBA champion Chucky Brown for coming back and spending some time with us and giving us his great insight. Also want to tell you guys, I will not be here Wednesday because I have another graduation to go to. This is my 12th degree. So I'm going to get laced out, beer, drunk, all the stuff for my 12. I was completely drunk. So I'm going to go do that and enjoy it on Wednesday. And again, I want to thank you guys, the taxpayer, because if it wasn't for you, I couldn't have got no degrees done.
Right. Congratulations.
Final thoughts, Ms. Demetra.
My final thoughts are: thank you, Mr. Brown, for joining us and giving your insight on this particular subject. And yeah, you know, we as Black people need to find ways of working together instead of ripping each other apart over silliness, really. So that's all I have to say.
Well, I tell you this here, man. I agree with y'all. Just remember June 12th. I'm taking over 3750 Alabama. I'm pulling out the Rolls Royce Phantom. We're shooting a video for the new song, Make 'Em Mad. I'm running for school board. And I tell you something, man, that I appreciate all your help, everything y'all been doing for me, man. It is heaven sent. And right now, we looking like the front runner, but we got some work to do. We got to walk some blocks. We got to get out to the voters. I'm going to need some help. So if you've been sitting there talking, oh, I'm going to help you, Mr. Monroe, I'm finna call your name. It's time to go engage the voters and let them know. But I mean, all those good people behind the scenes that's been helping, people that's donating money is going to a good place. And I will tell you this, that not a penny of the money that you donated me is going towards the actual song. Not a penny of your money is paying for the video shoot. I'm paying for that out of my own pocket. That's something that, you know, we want to do. Yeah, we're using it for the election, but I'm not using campaign funds to do that. I'm going to do that on my own. And I think it's going to be a great day. The only thing I can tell you, I got an African dance group that might jump up out of a limo on the video. You might want to see this. It's going to be cold as ice water. I don't know, but we're going to see. June 12th. And I want to thank my friend Chucky, you know, who takes the time out to come and hang out with us, one of our most favorite guests that we could ever have on the show. To him and the cousin pastor, that do it for me. That do it for me. So, you know, I love the fact that, you know, this guy doesn't have to take the time out, but he does. And thank you so much, man. I mean, thank you, because you could overlook it.
Thank you.
And people don't realize how hard it is to connect with pro athletes or actors and actresses, because their schedules are just crazy. And right now, a lot of them are going back to work. So, you know, it's hard to really catch them. And I don't know if you got some insights to KWAME. People keep telling me to reach out to him. I can't get to him. But if somebody can get me to him, I'd love to have him on the show. I'd love to have KWAME Brown himself on the show, because I got mad love for him. And I'm going to just tell him, just keep speaking truth to power, big homie, because it is what it is. And sometimes you need to stop poking the bear, man. You really need to stop poking the bear. Say, man, it's a reason we the best in the business. It's the War Zone every night, 7 o'clock. YouTube and Facebook. I want to thank our guest, Chucky Brown, my good friend, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetra K, and I am the 5-star general. I got a 6:45 flight in the morning. I'm headed back to Minneapolis. I got work to do. But Friday, I'm going to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you ain't got nothing to do, come on up there and see what they did to us when we really did own our own businesses and our own land. Until tomorrow night, we'll holler at you.
Salute. Peace. All right.